Hello, my name's Kat and I haven't bought yarn in 169 days. Welcome to episode 9 of the Cat Crafty Knits Podcast. I'd like to say that I think this episode is going to be a little bit on the chaotic side, and I was going to apologise for that. But actually, if you've seen any of my episodes before, then you know that I'm probably chaotic most of the time. So there's probably no point apologising for it, because you obviously still keep coming back to watch me. If you're new here, then welcome. I hope you enjoy my videos. It's lovely to have you here. And if you have come back, you are here as a returning viewer, then thank you also. That's really lovely to know that you're coming back. Yes. From last time, what is there to say? I haven't done an awful lot of knitting. So I don't have any whips to show you today, and I don't have any finished objects. Like, that makes me a rather rubbish podcaster, right? Ugh, what can I say? I just haven't done an awful lot of knitting. I mean, you will see in the little intro video-y thing that I've done that I have worked a little bit on my sock tube. I decided not to bring it over to show you because, I mean, I've maybe added this much. Like, it's going to look the same. It still looks like a very, very long tubey sock. So yeah, there was no point bringing that to show you. I have done a little bit more work on my shawl, but again, not enough to make it worth bringing over. So yeah, as you can see, I am videoing in a different spot today. I am in the office. We have our office separate to our house. It's basically above our garage, and it's where my husband works 99% of the time. And before I got a job outside of the house, it's where I was working too. So I have a soft spot for this little area over here. It's very nice. It's a grown-up area. The children rarely come over here. It's kind of full of junk, to be honest. There's lots of stuff in here, but it's arse. It's just adulty space, which is quite nice. I'm wearing my shawl today. I'll go through what I'm wearing properly in a minute, but I am wearing the shawl simply because it's not heated over here. And although it's not super, super chilly yet, it's chilly enough. Like, I think the thermometer was reading something like 13 point something when I came over. So yeah, it's not warm over here. Hence the shawl and my coffee. Although my coffee will probably go cold before I finish it, because that's always what happens when I try and drink a hot drink on the podcast. Yeah, the reason I'm over here filming today is because it's where all my yarn is kept. 90% of my yarn anyway. There is a little bit in house, but most of my yarn that's not being worked with, lives over here. And there is far too much of it to hike over to the house. So, videoing here it is. So yes, if you haven't already guessed by the craziness that surrounds me at the moment, including my laptop so I can remember to look things up and tell you about stuff, I'm going to talk about my yarn stash today. I started this video saying that I haven't bought yarn in 169 days. That's like nearly 6 months. Like another week or so and that's 6 months of not buying yarn. I mean, you will see how much yarn, I'm not even going to talk about all of it, but you will see how much yarn I have. Therefore, I have no business buying yarn. But that's not stopped me before. But yeah, I think the main reason I haven't bought yarn for such a long time now is that, and I don't know if other people have found this, but I have definitely found that I'm not using or not knitting through the yarn that I have enough to then warrant buying more, and I've almost got to the point of overwhelm with how much I've got. Like, I love all of it and I don't think I will get rid of any of it, but I just can't use it quickly enough, and therefore like it's not motivated me to then feel the need to buy more. I'm not really explaining this very well. I think because I've got so much, I almost look at patterns and ideas and things now and think, right, well, what have I got for that? Can I do that with what I've got? Because actually, I've got so much I can probably do it with what I've got. Oh, this is going to be a crazy one. So yeah, apologies if yarn stash dives aren't for you. It's basically all the content I've got right now, so if you don't like it, then move on, I'm sorry. I've got some cool things to talk about though, and for a lot of the stuff that I plan to show, there's a little bit of a story with, even if it's a short rubbish one, there's a bit of a story. So yeah, I'll take you through the mess this is. First of all, can you see my lovely John Arbon stash can here? This, I got this in lockdown. I think the first time they put these for sale was in lockdown. It was right as we were moving back to Devon. I now live only about 10, maybe not even 10 miles from the John Arbon mill, the place where they make the yarn. Not the shop that's in North Devon, but the place they make the yarn. The mill. I'm such an idiot. Here we go. Here the craziness commences. But yeah, at the time I was still in Bristol and I desperately wanted one of these cans. So I ordered one of these cans, but there was no way I was going to get it shipped to Bristol and then just to bring it back to Devon. And at the time they weren't doing pickups from their warehouse or their shop because of COVID. You know, that thing. So I had this shipped to my mum's house that is about 30, 40 minutes away from here. And so it lived there until I was ready to fill it with yarn here, basically. It's definitely fair to say that although I did bring both yarn and fabric from Bristol, a lot of this stash has happened since we moved. Like, I'm pretty sure before we moved I managed to get, bear in mind we moved 4 years ago, so it's 4 years worth of accumulation of stash. But I think before we moved I had 1 box of fabric and 1 box of yarn. Or I managed to get it down to that to bring. So yeah, that's a lot of yarn. In my lovely stash can lives most of my sock ball, most of it single skeins, all bar a fade club, a year fade club that I signed up for, which that's worth showing. So I will definitely open that I think today and show you that. And yeah, I thought this would be nice to show as well because recently I've noticed that John Arbon have put them back on sale again. So if you like the look of these things, they're enormous. I'm very, very tempted to get another one now they've got them again, but like they're not super pricey, but they're pricey enough. And I mean, I have got enough yarn that's not sat in current storage, so maybe I can warrant another one. But yeah, I don't really want to increase the size of my stash, so finding more places to put things isn't high up my agenda right now, I guess. Now, I wanted to start with, well, if you can call this a start, we're almost 10 minutes in already and I haven't actually started with the start. What I am wearing is what I want to talk about next. So, what I am wearing, first of all, the shawl. I mean, no guesses of what it is, because I think everyone knows a Stephen West M cow when they've seen one. This is my shawlography, and this is quite literally the most beautiful scarf or shawl. This was made with a singles set that was kind of, was it custom dyed? I guess it kind of was custom dyed because there was colours in this that Lottie Knits. Here you'll see a few of her yarns pop up in this. Lottie Knits was the dyer who I got the yarns from. And several of the colours, now don't ask me which ones because I can't remember, but several of the colours were colours that she already made, and then 1 or 2, might have only been 1, I can't remember exactly, she dyed for me to kind of make up the set, basically. And yeah, I absolutely love this. This was my second MCAL that I took part in. And the first one being Slipstravaganza. Now both of these shawls I absolutely love. My Slipstravaganza, I'll pop a picture in of it, was my first, and that was the most enormous thing I think I've ever knit. Those end rows on those chevrons at the end Oh my goodness. But that shawl, again, that was also knit in Lottie Knits wool or yarns, and yeah, I loved that thing. I loved that thing so much that I didn't even hesitate to sign up for this one. This one I actually wear a lot more. If you've seen the Slipstravaganza, you'll know how, particularly if you did the full thing, like didn't leave off the border at the end, it's absolutely enormous. It's almost so enormous I find it difficult to wear with some things. This one I find is just a much more comfortable size. I can get on board with this one for more things, like it fits under my coats better with a jumper, and the colours are just really me. Yeah, that is my shawl. Now I've faffed around for ages getting it back on, I'm now going to take it back off again so I can show you my jumper. This one is a lovely, nice and straightforward sweater. It is called the Button Side Sweater by Jennifer Dessau. I think that's how you say it. And this jumper I knit when, I think it was originally in the Knitter. The Knitter? Let me double check whether it was the Knitter. I think it was the Knitter, because my mum used to subscribe to the Knitter mag, so she's got loads and loads of them. Yes, the Knitter. And I, borrowed her magazine and knit this when I was pregnant with my son, Oscar. So probably about 5 years ago, because he's 4 in a few months, or 5 in a few months' time. So I would have been about 5 years ago that I started knitting it. And the sole intention for this sweater was that it has these buttons down the side. And I wanted something that I could breastfeed in. So that's exactly what I did. It's got the buttons down the side. So otherwise got a nice straightforward neck. There's a little bit of interest on the saddle shoulder. Apologise if that's completely blowing out. It looks like it is on my screen. And yeah, just a simple straightforward sweater with the buttons up the side so I could access, the buttons are quite tough on this. I don't know if I can get it undone on my own. No, I can't do it now. But yeah, the buttons all come open so I could just feed. And yeah, that's exactly how I wore it. It was a fantastic idea, but it wasn't super great in reality for the exact reason that I've just shown, that actually the buttons I chose are a touch on the large side. So by the time you'd faffed around trying to get these buttons undone, you may as well just have gone like that. But even so, I love this sweater. I love the neckline. This is a really lovely sitting neckline on me. This is where I would really love all of my jumpers to sit. And I find it a really easy, wearable design. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. Now watch me faff try and get this shawl back on and look nice. Definitely is a little bit chilly without it though, so I apologise if I look like a ruffled up Eskimo or whatever. I also have, I don't have a cold or sore throat particularly, but I've just got like a tickle at the back. It's almost like a chesty thing. So yeah, if I keep going, I apologise, it's really annoying. I think it's been about a month since I last filmed. And since then I've watched quite a lot of knitting podcasts. But I definitely do feel a little bit out of the practice of podcasting myself. Although I don't really end up podcasting any more frequently than about monthly, because let's be honest, I'm just not producing enough to talk about at the moment, but yeah. Oh. I've also got to keep an eye on the time because, again, I'm filming as soon as I've got home from work before I need to pick up the kids, and the time isn't tremendously long, and I really don't want to end up filming again like I did last time. So I'm going to grab this bag first to show you. Now my dog's coughing too. Charlie, shh. He's looking at me really disgusted that I told him off. So, my last purchase of yarn was this absolutely beautiful Camarose snuff neg. Look at how delightful that amazing blue is. Really snowy, beautiful blue. And I think absolutely everyone's talked about this yarn before at some point. It is definitely a firm favourite at the moment. And this is a blown yarn. And it is recommended 4 to 6 millimetre needles, and it's 110 metres per 50 grams. I can't remember how many balls of this I bought, and I'm not going to count them now because I can't be bothered. But I bought this for a design that I haven't started yet, and this was the contrast colour that I'm going to put with it. If that doesn't blow out, is it going to get it? Oh, apologies, it's not going to get it, but you can see the colour anyway. And this is Sanders Garn Perenol. And so the idea is that it's going to be like a fluffy, cuddly pullover with a high neck and then like this band down the front in the contrast colour. And this was the second amount of yarn that I bought for this idea that I've had. And the first was these. So, Drops Alpaca Boucle with Merino Extra Fine. So that will be a boucle version of the same sweater. I bought this, well, I bought that even longer ago, but I bought the Snuff Neg. Yeah, it was end of May and I haven't started it yet. In fact, I think I've even talked about the swatch and then bought the other yarn and talked about that on this podcast, and I still haven't done anything with it. And let's be honest, I'm going to say now that's the story that's going to continue. Let's start as we mean to go on. This one here, as it's just laid on top. These are basically the yarns that don't fit in the storage that I currently have. It's where they're just hanging around in bags. But this is Lottie Knits Unicorn Tweed DK. Oh my goodness, that's blowing out loads on the screen. It's a little bit more muted than that in real life. In fact, it's quite a bit muted, quite a bit more muted. It's not great English, is it? Than that. If I can, I will pop a more representative photo of that in. But this is, how many skeins do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? No, it's not 7. That's a funny number to get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 skeins. That sounds a bit more correct. 8 skeins of this lovely unicorny flecked nep yarn. Oh, there you go. You can see the nep's much better there, can't you? Oh, and that colour there, that's a bit more like the true colour. There you go. So this I bought again for another design. And I absolutely love this yarn, but I don't think I'm going to use it for the design that I had in mind. And that's mainly because, again, it's in my brain. I have yarn for it, but I haven't managed to get it out anywhere yet. In fact, actually, I've done the grading for this design. It has a name, and I had another yarn, again, story of my life, have another yarn that I actually probably will knit this in, but yeah, I haven't done it. And this design, oh, I'm getting my words in a fuffle now, aren't I? This design I originally kind of came up with for a magazine submission. I submitted the idea to a magazine. I can't remember which one it was now, but it's kind of neither here nor there because I didn't want it anyway. It was one of the bigger ones though. It might have been, oh, who cares, I can't remember. But because of that, because it was for a magazine submission, I did quite a sizable swatch. In fact, you can't even call it a swatch. I knit most of a yoke. Which I will put the video, I think I've got a video of, so I'll put a video in of me kind of showing that off. And so yeah, I've got a very good idea of how it's going to look coming together because I've knit most of the yoke already in a swatch. I've graded it I've started the grading, and I think most of it's of another raglan. In theory, I have it graded in a size inclusive range, although I can't remember what that is off the top of my head. And so basically all I need to do with this is get a sample on the needles and start working it up really. And I think this will probably be my next design to pick up. I just haven't, because I've been so hell-bent on making sure that the only design thing I'm working on at the moment is getting that shawl finished. So yeah, this design is called Popcorn Rain. If you've been following me on Instagram for really quite a long time now, you may recognise that name. And that's because this design I originally started working on was a children's cardigan. And in fact, actually, it was a children's cardigan that was very, very similar in terms of construction and style to my Flutterby cardigan. But the yoke, the top, is obviously different because it's patterned, whereas the Flutterby cardigan is just a stockinette stitch design. That design, I had made a sample. Did I finish the body? I don't think I finished the body, but I got really far down the body, and then was quite obviously going to run out of yarn. And then kind of lost steam with it, got sidetracked by something else, and didn't go back to that children's cardigan idea. But I had banked kind of the pattern design, that the way it looks, in my brain for something later on, and that's now going to be the adult jumper that I've nearly started. Let me find the other yarn that I was going to knit that in. I think it's in this box here. Yes, it is. So this is, speaking of good old John Arbon Textiles, my neighbours, shall we say. They don't know who I am. This is their Knit by Numbers DK base. And this is the colourway KBN 132. So if you don't know their Knit by Numbers range, they basically have this range that makes a full gradient rainbow. So for this colour there will be a couple of lighter shades, a couple of darker shades, and you'll have a gradient. And then they'll do it in another colour and another colour. And yeah, if you've ever been to a show or their Mill Open weekend or anything like that, they have like a wall of yarn in this massive, beautiful rainbow, and that's the Knit by Numbers range. It's either in a DK or a 4-ply weight, and this is the DK. This is actually their old Knit by Numbers. They've recently changed the blend. I say recently, it's probably over a year now. So this one's 100% merino, and this will certainly be my first sample, and depending on how my first sample goes, I might then buy another quantity in their new range, in their new blend of the Knit by Numbers for the second sample. Can I remember? So this is 100% merino. I think their new blend is merino, 50% merino, 50% BFL. If I'm wrong with that, I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember now and I can't be bothered to look it up. So yeah, that's going to be that. And I think that will be a really nice, more even, straightforward colour for that design over this one. So, going back to this one though, this means I feel like this needs to be some sort of cabled jumper or cardigan. So if you know of any kind of nicely, highly cabled jumper designs that you think might suit that, then please hit me up. I'd love to know. I think I'm immediately thinking of Tin Can Knits have a cabled jumper that would quite likely fit the bill. In fact, I think the sample photographed in the one I'm thinking of is of a sort of similar colour. So yeah, it might be that. We'll see. Sort of doing okay for time. Well, we'll see. Maybe this needs to be a two-parter. Maybe I should talk about this yarn first and then what's in my stash can another time. So, another jumper quantity. I have quite a lot of jumper quantities. I think this is why I'm motivated to buy anything, because I just have so much. So this is some undyed yarn. You see those there? I love this base. I bought this, again with a design in mind, but again, I'm nowhere near starting that, so I'm not even going to mention it, but this I bought purely because I loved the base. This base is 85% Cormo, 15% silk. And I just love this. It's just so, so lovely. And I got this from Felt Fusion, undyed. As you can see, it's undyed, but I really love just the soft muted greys in this. I don't know if it's really showing up on screen. What if I come super close? It's quite like heathered, I guess. Yeah, this is just beautiful. And yeah, so yeah, there is a design that I bought this in mind for when I got it, but I'm not always the best judge of what yarns or fibres to use when designing. I quite often pick something that's not necessarily that commercial or easy to get hold of, and I kind of feel like that might be the case with this base. It's quite a niche base, so it may not be the best thing to choose for a design. Again, kind of why I thought that this might be better for the Popcorn Rain design, because it's much more straightforward in terms of its colour, and it's not hand dyed, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I pick a lot of hand dyed and I pick a lot of niche bases. So yeah, I don't know if that will become the design that I have in mind after all, but it is 3 skeins, so it's definitely, or 4 ply, so it's definitely a sweater's quantity. I just don't quite know what I'm going to do with it yet. As I'm on this box, I'm going to continue with this box. And actually, just to hand here, I have another set from, or I say another set, the last one wasn't a set, that was just undyed, but this is a fade. Let's get it the right way around. Again, from Felt Fusion. Yeah. And isn't that just glorious? Like, they are literally as bright as that in real life. Although that one is maybe slightly darker in real life. The fade is better, like more of a fade in real life. Yeah, these are 4 ply singles, and I bought this with a Hoji Locatelli pattern in mind, but I haven't knit it yet, and I've had these probably in stash. Did I buy them when we were here still? Did we live here? No, I think I bought these before we moved, so they've been in stash at least 4 years, I think. And yeah, I haven't knit that sweater, and it's a singles, so I'm not really sure that I want to knit a sweater in singles from this, but it's really fun. It's really fantastic. It's really lovely, and I do need to knit something with this. I did think about destashing this at some point, just because I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. And if you're watching this and really fancy this, you know exactly what you'd want to knit with it, and you fancy taking it off me, then do let me know. However, it's also beautiful, and I'm quite happy for it to sit in stash a little longer. Yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say about that. And then I'm kind of here into yarns that are just a little bit ridiculous, really. This is going to end up a right mess. This one here is just some, can't really see it through the bag, can you? I'll take one out. King Cole Majestic DK. Is it going to get it? And this is a really straightforward cream. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of these, and I kind of came across, these came into my being as a sheer mistake, really. When I was working as a designer, kind of on the startup company that I was working with, this was one of the yarns we brought for a sample for that. But was it over Christmas? I think it was over Christmas last year. Basically, the first parcel this parcel got lost in the post. So after waiting forever and ever and ever for it to come, I then, they sent me another one basically, which then, as it always does, means that the second one turned up 2 days later. And rather than sending it back, I said, you know what, you can't go wrong with having a cream in stash, can you? And that's a very nice amount of yarn to make one of my kids something at some point. The only thing I would say is I don't generally knit in cream for my kids because my kids are messy and will get them muddy. So maybe I will do. What's the composition of this? I think it's a 50%, where does it say? 50% superwash wool, 30% acrylic, 20% polyamide. So I guess I could have a go at dyeing that and just see how that goes if I don't want it to be a cream jumper or whatever. This one here. I'm not going to open this, I'm afraid. You just have to look at it all shiny in there. This is some Debbie Bliss Cashmerino. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 balls. So 500 grams of this really super hot pink. That is literally as pink as it looks on the screen. And this is a sport weight, and for some reason I seem to have picked the box that has most things in it that I don't really have a plan for. I've never had a plan for, and I literally bought that because it was in a Lovecraft sale and I liked it and I wanted it. And that is exactly the same as these as well. These are Willow, is that gonna, I don't know if you can see that, it's blowing it out. This is Willow and Lark Ramble. This is a wool and more wool superwash yarn. Another DK weight, and again I have 10 balls of this. I'm not going to pull them all out because these are singular in there. And once again, I bought that in the same sale and I have no idea what I'm going to use with that. There was a pattern I saw years ago that it was a fully cabled front jumper and had like a fairly high neckline, if I remember, and that was really cool, and that was in a bright orange, and I think that's what inspired me when I saw this to buy this. I've got a feeling that pattern wasn't a DK weight pattern though. I'll find the details and stick it on screen or whatever. But yeah, I don't think this is going to become it anyway, so I don't know what I'm telling you. The other yarn I have in here, and now this might have been the same sale, this might have been a different Lovecraft sale, I can't remember now. Sucker for a sale, aren't I? Is some Viking Garn Alpaca Storm. And this is just a black yarn. I have, more than I thought of this actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, and they are a 4-ply super fine alpaca, 40% merino and 20% nylon. And my plan for these was, I can't remember the name of it, and I'm going to look this one up because I know I wrote this one down, so that's why I'm going to look this one up. This is I bought this, that's what I'm trying to say. I bought this for a Antique Flora by Wool & Pine. This was going to be my main colour, and then I was going to use some of my yarns in this one. In fact, should I get those out now as I'm talking about them? So my fade set that I got, I think it was last year, I signed up for the Lottie Knits Fade Club. And that was a monthly club that she ran throughout the year, and then from 1 month to the next they fade together to create like lots and lots of faded yarn basically. Now I have too many single skeins in here, as you can see. Let's get those out of the way first. Then I have lots of stripy cat yarns. All of these are various Harry Potter themed ones. We won't say too much there. But I have bought a lot of these in my time. And as you can see, these are all sock sets. In fact, this one here, I'll pop a picture in, but my second sample of my speckle pop socks was knit in a colour called Lunar Speckled. This is the Lunar Striped. So kind of the same colourway, but one was speckled and this one's the striped one. More, I can't hold them all. More single skeins. More. Right, I think that's all of those ones. So these are my fade sets. Now I'm not going to know which order they're in, so hopefully I have a picture of them together, and if I don't, I'll try and get one before this podcast goes out. I probably won't. But this is my fade set. So this is some of them. You can see some of the ones that might go together and some of the ones that don't. So that's those. In fact, shall we do this properly? Shall I go through them? Because I think they probably say on there which one is which. So let's make sure I've got them all. This is where it's going to go all Pete Tong because I have so much yarn in my coffee. Falling off. So, not that one because that's December. November. January. So this is January's colourways. Then we have February's colourways. I'll do a few and then I'll hold maybe 3 at a time, and then I'll hold them up together so you can kind of see how this fade is going. Here we go, March. So January, February and March are there. I think I had April. April, must be that one. May, and then June. So April, May and June. This is 2022, not 2023. Then we have July. Oh, look at that heat wave. That one's called. That is just delightful. I love that one. July. August. And then September, my birth month. Oh, I love that one too. So, July, August and September. Right, October, November and December must be the last 3 because that obviously makes sense. October. Oh, look at that. I love that. November. Lottie does the most gorgeous greens. And then December. Yes. October, November, December. Right, so the entire reason for showing you those was because I was going to potentially make an antique flora with then some of my fade sets together with the black. And I do think that would look really lovely. But it also, obviously, there's quite a lot, like it's 5 20-gram skeins in every set, so 5 times 12. That's a lot of yarn on its own to then put with something else as well. And actually, to be honest, I think that's probably what I will end up doing. I don't think I'm possibly going to knit something with all of this fade set yarn. It's just too much of it. But I also would like to try and keep a lot of it together. So I might maybe make another, I say make another blanket, but I'm really not very good at blankets. I think in my first episode I showed off my granny stripe. And I love my granny stripe blanket and I will continue working on that, but I'm just not very good at keeping motivated to knit big things like that. Like, I'm a sweater knitter, a garment knitter, definitely. I'm not like a gloves and hat person. But blankets are a whole nother level again, aren't they? So I don't think I can commit to another jumper, or another blanket. I'm then just going to very quickly show you inside there. It's all my commercial sock yarn, most of which is West Yorkshire Spinners. Not all of it, but most of it. And then I had this one random one in there as well. It's a super bright one from Advising Design, who I don't think's dying anymore, which is a shame because she's a really lovely really lovely dyer. Right, I'm just going to shovel this back in there because it will take too long to sort out properly. Ooh, nice one. There we go. That can stay like that. Oh, and a stray one on the floor. That's the one that nearly ended up in my coffee. Oh, and on that note, let's finish this cold last little bit. Very cold down. Right, where do I go next? Let's pop the lid back on that one. If it will go, because it's now all a mess in there. And now hopefully this one won't take too long to go through because a lot of this is scrappy stuff and I don't want to show you a lot of my scrappy stuff because it's like odds and ends left over from other projects, and let's be honest, it's stuff that I probably should have just parted with but haven't done, and yeah, there's no need to really show it here. How am I doing for time? I have about 10 minutes left. I'm not sure this is going to get done. So, first of all, oh, this one's a nice story. This one, I think of being quite special yarn. Oh my goodness, I have no idea if you're ever going to be able to see this properly. This is some silk. Is it just silk? I wrote this one down too. This is from the Woolshed. Silky sock. I didn't actually write down what base it is, but I'm pretty it's a silk, or I think it's a merino silk actually. I think it's a 50% merino, 50% silk. And this was from the Woolshed. The beautiful late Liv dyed this one, and I picked this one up a few years ago now. And I first started knitting this into an over the ocean cardigan. So there was going to be a 4-ply weight cardigan version of my over the ocean design, and I believe this is probably graded to an extent as well. And I had the most of a yoke of a jumper or a cardigan, and it had this really big collar and panel that came down the front, and I loved the design, but it wasn't quite working out, and I can't remember exactly why now. We're talking a couple of years ago. But it wasn't quite working out, so I fogged it. And the intention was to always get this, in this yarn, back on the needles. But I haven't done. To be honest, I've worked for several years on the over the ocean patterns that are out there. The kids version, the sock, and then the adults version. And as much as this cardigan was really beautiful and I really loved it, and it was probably in some ways my favourite design out of them, I don't know if I have it in me to cast on another one again. Maybe now just isn't the time, but yeah. I love this. Talking of over the ocean though, I have 2 skeins left of the colourway that the adults was knit in. And you've all heard me talk about Otter and Papoose before. This is the Siren Song colourway, and I am pretty sure she has some of this in her store at the moment. So, go check her out if you like it. I will probably knit myself, maybe hold 2 strands together and have a chunky hat out of this. To use these skeins up. I'm not sure. And then in here also I have... I'm just trying to decide what to show you because this is a bit of a mishmash and you don't need to see everything that's in here. This Mahoosive ball here is some chunky yarn. I think from Needle and Thread, that I knit one of my first Garter Squish children's samples out of. You can see where it's been fogged, all a bit noodly. This, my dog's whining. He's probably telling me that I need to shush soon and go pick the children up from school, because he's got an innate sense of what time it is and what I should be doing in my life, way more so than I have for myself. So rather than just throw this sample away when it no longer fit my daughter, I fogged the yarn and shoved it in this box. I think my plan for this is to make a slip over with it. I reckon I can get a slip over for myself out of this. I think that's what that will become. Which slip over, I don't know. I can't even remember how much is here, so I'll have to weigh it. A slip over nonetheless. These yarns here are not what they seem. I can't remember what they are. They were dyed years and years and years ago by Gemma of, the Midnight Diary she was, but before that she was a project bag, and she did this base of 1600 metres in 100 grams merino, I think, which is like a cobweb weight yarn. And Charlie, shush, you're like a squeaky chair. Shh. What was I saying? And so with this cobweb weight yarn, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. And then when I first started spinning, back when I had my mum's spinning wheel and I was trying out using it, I chain plied each ball to make this now lace weight yarn. And I have 2 colours of it, and I had intended to knit this up in a Leyland shawl, but that was when I was still deluding myself that I thought a Leyland shawl would be able to be knit in 2 100-gram cakes. That's not going to happen. It's using much more, like 4, maybe a little bit more than 4. So that's obviously not going to happen now, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Maybe another 2-colour shawl, but I probably need to find a pattern for. But speaking of spinning also, here's my first attempts at spinning. How funky are them? I mean, that's really blowing out. You can't see that at all, can you? Oh, there you go. You can see that a little bit better. How awful are these? These were my first attempts at spinning, and I'm probably never going to use these. But they were my first attempts, so I'm going to keep them at least for now anyway. What a mess. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you, I've also got a note for on here somewhere. Here we go. So these, again, is another John Arbon Textiles yarn. I didn't quite realise I had so much of theirs to show. And this is, gosh, there's quite a lot of it. This is their 20th anniversary special blend called Tutti Frutti, and I think it was called that because it's just made up of all sorts, so not any one particular fibre type. I think there's just lots and lots in here, and they blended all this up. Ooh, can I hold it like that? And I have 6 skeins of this, and 6 skeins of that. And I was originally going to knit this into a Lodestar. Now everyone knows the Lodestar pattern because it was super, super popular when it came out in Pom Pom. Was it in Pom Pom Mag? I think it was Pom Pom Mag. So I was going to knit one of those, but I didn't. I caked up the yarn, which I'm good at doing. I cake up a lot of yarn and then don't use it, as you can tell. I caked up the yarn, I cast on, and then didn't knit it. I think I started it, got the ribbon wrong, and gave up and never started it again. So maybe that will become a Lodestar in the future. I would quite like to own that jumper to wear, so it probably should happen. The only thing that does put me off is the fact that it's more, I think, maybe I'm getting this wrong. I'm not sure. I think it's a circular yoke. I might have to look that up and then correct myself on the screen if I'm wrong. But yeah, I wasn't super sure if I liked the way it would fit, because I don't super like the way that circular yokes sit on me often. And even if it wasn't a circular yoke, I think I just saw a few pictures that I thought, I'm not so sure that's going to sit nicely on my body. But yeah, that's that. Oh, that's a kind of a blast from the past as well, isn't it? Again, you won't have any idea what this is because you probably don't realise. But this was the yarn that I used for my adult garter squish jumper. And I've got a couple of those in there. And I dyed this myself. It was 100 metres per 100 grams chunky merino from World of Wool. And I was a cheapskate and didn't want to buy it dyed because it was really expensive. Like 18, I needed a lot, and so like 18, 19 pound a skein for hand dyed chunky just wasn't going to happen at the time. So I bought a cone plus a little bit extra for from World of Wool, and I dyed it myself. So that was those. Yeah. Oh, speedy. It's 3:17, and I need to I need to leave to pick my kids up at like 25 past. So super speedy look at the last box. And the box that's got my laptop on also has fibre in it, but I'm definitely not going to have time to speak to you about the fibre today. So maybe I can, if you're interested, chuck that on a different episode some other time. This one was given to me. This is some beautiful, I think it's mohair. Kid mohair silk. From... It says Shepherd Lace, Allium Threads. That's it, that's what I was looking for. From Allium Threads. And look, I don't know if you can see the halo on this. It's super, super fluffy. And it's almost like a really iridescent colour. It's just beautiful. Was it last year? It definitely wasn't this year because it's just been the Stitch Fest Southwest show in Newton Abbot. So I didn't go this year, and I don't think I went last year, so it must have been the year before I went. It's the year I met up with the Woolly Badger, Jackie, and anyway, silly story. I'm wasting time now. It's because I know I'm on a time limit. My mum picked up some of these at Yarndale in this colourway last year before. So yeah, Mum picked up some of this at Yarndale, but I really wanted it. So when she then went to Stitch Fest, that's right, she went to Stitch Fest last year, saw Allium Threads there and saw some of this she had on her stand there. So she picked me up some there. She got hers from Yarndale, she got mine from Stitch Fest. And that's how that came into my being. So this will be a really nice jumper weight quantity. Maybe that could go with my Cormo silk. That'd be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Like a grey with that. Maybe that's an option. Then, in here, I've generally got mostly odds and sods. Oh, I forgot I had that. I'll show you that in a minute. These two are from Truly Hooked. These are pretty old stash again. I can't remember exactly how old, but pretty old. She hasn't had that ball band for a while. And this is a yak sock, and this was always intended to be a Rhinelust shawl, which will hopefully still happen again at some point. I'm not a huge shawl wearer, I say as I've got a shawl around my neck, but I'm not a huge shawl wearer, which is often why the shawl products don't get done. Oh, there you go, that's Truly Hook's new ball band. This was a Yarndale purchase. Did my mum buy me this one too? I think Mum might have bought me that one too, actually. She's quite generous, my mum, bless her. Another Livy Woolshed one. It's so wonderful to see that Liv's mum is still dyeing on her behalf, because yeah, she was such a beautiful, talented dyer, and her mum's lovely. That's really not shown very well, I do apologise. But yeah, the thing that I just went, oh, I didn't remember I had that was, oh my goodness, there's quite a few of them too. I bought this from Bird Street Yarn. I think in a sale, one of them's come apart. Literally, a sweater's quantity of Zebra. Zebra 4-ply in the colourway Stella Bella, which is 100% superwash merino. And I think I bought this with the intention of making my husband a jumper, a sweater. So I think he would quite like that. I say he'd quite like that. I've made him 2 jumpers in the past and he wears neither of them. So maybe I just need to make myself something with this, but I'm just not quite sure what. Oh, I do wonder though, if I get it right, he probably would wear a jumper. He wears my socks all the time. He's just, to be honest, he's just not a super jumpery person. He wears shorts in middle of December. He's that sort of person. So jumpers aren't generally his bag, but yeah. The other sweater quantity I did want to show you though was, oh my goodness, I can't find the third one. There it is. These ones. And these were another Stitch Fest purchase. And this was the same year I went with Jackie, I think, the year before last, or whenever it was. And this is Bellica Yarns. So can I get it and not me? And this is a superwash merino 4-ply, superwash merino nylon. And this is the colourway blank. She hasn't written it on there. But this is like a really kind of browny, pinky, muted. Like, for me, I almost want to call that a neutral. Like, it quite obviously isn't a neutral. But for me, it's very neutral in comparison to some of the things I buy. Yeah. Lot of the other stuff in here. I love that one, A Lonely Knitter. This was a Yarndale purchase as well. At Yarndale, I bought this from Laura of The Lonely Knitter, and I bought a pair of scissors, which seems like the most ridiculous thing to mention, a pair of scissors. But they're the best scissors I've ever purchased. Like, they're so good. My little pink ones you sometimes see in my photos. Yeah. This was leftover yarn from my Quincy cowl. Which, if you didn't know, I've made free for OPAF users. Openpatternformat.com. Get the app. On there, pattern index, you'll find that pattern for free. Sneaky little plug. Oh, yeah, and then I'm kind of coming to the end of it now. Like, I will pull 2 of these out. I have 4 of these, and again, these are from Posh Yarn, who I don't think is dying anymore. These are the Janine sock, Born the River Queen is the colourway, and these are 365 per 100 grams. It's just that really rich blue. And again, I think I bought these for my husband, or this for my husband as a jumper quantity, which he probably won't wear. And like I said, I've got 4, so we'll see if that comes to being. Again, I don't even know what pattern, probably something really straightforward for him, because that's all that's really going to wash. Yeah, I think there are other things in here. As you can see, I am shifting around, but I literally need to go pick up my kids now, and you don't need to see every single skein that I have in my existence, because I've already gone through quite a lot. Maybe I could go through a couple more of the others if I do a fibre haul show. It's not a haul, is it? Because it's not new, it's stash. Fibre stash parade. Let's call it that, why not? So maybe I'll show those then sometime. This is why I'm not buying more yarn, because as you can see, I have way too much on my plate to be knitting. And plans to knit with them as well. Like, a lot of my stash does have plans, or has had at least some point plans attached to it. So my brain is kind of all full up of stuff, and therefore not letting space for new things to kind of creep in right now. I think that's probably a nice way to put it, actually. It's not that I'm on a yarn ban or anything. It's literally just that I feel like with everything that I've got, everything that I own so far already in yarn, I don't feel like, even if it's the most beautiful things that I've seen, I don't feel like it's adding it to my stash is gonna complicate my brain even more, and I don't need that right now. So yeah, hopefully you found that interesting. Thank you for sticking with me this long if you are still here. I hope you liked hearing about what I have in stash and some of the plans that I've got around these things. It's been great chatting to you, and it's also been lovely looking through my bits and pieces, reminding myself of what I do have, and reinvigorating some of the love for some of it, and hopefully the motivation to cast some more stuff on. So yeah, this has been helpful for me, even if it hasn't been for you, or interesting for you anyway. It's not going to be helpful for you because it's mine and not yours. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.